Hello, my friends. Welcome to a special global pop edition of 30 albums for 30 years. I am your host, Jay Sweet. Today, I will be talking about the music of Ireland. So that's Celtic music and a whole bunch of Irish musicians and different styles coming out of that region. Got into this one. I had studied quite a bit of Irish music while learning the mandolin and learning all these jigs and reels, and really found learning that stuff quite enjoyable. And also in the late 1990s, I lived in South Boston, and that area has a high population of Irish Americans. So I was kind of around that culture, and my wife is also part Irish. So it doesn't necessarily make me an expert, but definitely somebody who was interested in the music and the culture. So without further ado, the Celtic music and the music of Ireland. Let's check it out. Okay, so before we get into the music, let's at least talk about the history of Ireland. Here's a brief overview. Prehistoric Ireland was inhabited by Celtic tribes. Christianity was introduced in the 5th century by St. Patrick, who became a dominant influence in Irish society, as did Christianity. Then the Vikings raided, the Normans invaded, and then the English take control. The English crown asserted authority over the entire island of Ireland by the late 16th century. Ireland's predominantly Catholic population now faced discrimination and religious persecution under English Protestant rule. Englishman Oliver Cromwell then led brutal campaigns in Ireland in the 17th century, resulting in the death of thousands of Irish and widespread land confiscations. Then the Great Potato Famine, caused by a potato blight, led to the deaths of approximately 1 million Irish people and forced the immigration of millions more. That was 1845 to 1852. So, still under English control, Ireland looked to become a free state. We have the Easter Rising of 1916, which marked a significant step towards Irish independence. And then in 1921, the Anglo-Irish Treaty was signed, which led to the establishment of Ireland as a free state. But the issue was that Northern Ireland remained part of the UK. So this didn't sit well with the Northern Irish many, and it led to a series of conflicts known as the Troubles. The Troubles took place between 1960s and late 1990s. This is a bunch of violent events between Northern Ireland and England. And to this day, Northern Ireland is still controlled by England. Okay, so now that we learned about the history, which is really important because in order to really understand the music, you have to know the history of the region it comes from. But now let's talk about the music. And Celtic music is known for its melodies, its rhythmic patterns, its ability to invoke a strong sense of cultural identity and a deep connection to nature. Instrumentation includes the fiddles, bagpipes, harp, flutes, whistles, particularly the tin whistle, a Celtic frame drum called the bodhran, B-O-D-H-R-A-N, accordions, and concertinas. Among the most recognized and lively forms of Celtic music are jigs, J-I-G-S, and reels. Jigs are typically danced to, and reels are often instrumental pieces. In addition, ballads and airs are compositions that encompass slower, more lyrical elements, and often tell tales of love, history, and the natural world. The Dubliners are a traditional Irish folk band from Dublin that formed in 1962. The group has had several lineups over their 50-year career. The band found international success by presenting lively Irish folk songs. And they have influenced many Irish bands and are credited as being Ireland's longest-lived folk band. The song Whiskey in a Jar is one of the most recognizable Irish traditional songs, and the Dubliners helped to popularize the song as they recorded it on 3 albums in the 1960s. The lyrics are about a robber who stole from a military government official and was then betrayed by a woman. As with many Irish folk songs, it became popular in the American South, particularly in places like the Appalachians and the Ozarks. The tune's origins are somewhat unknown, but we can date the song to as early as 1850. The song's been recorded by many artists, including bands like Thin Lizzy and even Metallica. Now, the Dubliners version is the one we're checking out. So take notice of the tin whistle and the banjo in this track. Whiskey in a Jar, performed by the Dubliners. Enjoy. The Chieftains are a traditional Irish folk band that has been active since 1962. They may be the band that best represents the Irish folk tradition. The group began to find popularity in the U.S. in 1973, and they were known for collaborating with many popular artists, including opera singer Luciano Pavarotti, the Rolling Stones, Madonna, Roger Daltrey of The Who, and Van Morrison. Now, the band's future is a bit uncertain because co-founder Paddy Maloney died in 2021. One of their collaborators was Sinead O'Connor. O'Connor was an internationally famed singer who was instantly recognized throughout the early 1990s for her shaven head and her reinterpretation of Prince's song, Nothing Compares to You. Great track. O'Connor was one of the most outspoken artists ever and drew attention to issues such as child abuse, human rights, racism, organized religion, and women's rights. During a Saturday Night Live performance in 1992, she tore up a photograph of Pope John Paul II to protest abuse within the Catholic Church. This sparked major controversy. I remember it. The singer struggled with mental illness, and in 2022, her 17-year-old son died of suicide. And then on July 26th of the same year, O'Connor passed away at only the age of 56. It has been speculated that her death was also a result of suicide because she's spoken about suicidal tendencies in the past. And for some time, she was living in a dingy New Jersey hotels right before her death. It was a tragic ending for one of the most polarizing figures of the latter half of the 20th century. Foggy Dew is a popular Irish ballad, and this version comes from a collaboration between Sinead O'Connor and the Chieftains. The song chronicles the Easter Rising of April 1916, which encouraged Irishmen to fight for the cause of Ireland's freedom rather than for the British Empire in World War I. It was the most significant uprising in Ireland since the Rebellion of 1798 and the first armed conflict of the Irish Revolutionary period. 16 of the rising's leaders were executed, starting in May of 1916. The nature of these executions and subsequent political developments ultimately contribute to an increase in popular support for Irish independence. The band Clannad, C-L-A-N-N-A-D, is an Irish childhood family band that formed in 1970 that first began presenting traditional Irish songs in the Celtic Gaelic language. They later expanded to add English song lyrics and elements of Celtic, New Age, pop jazz, and Gregorian chant into their music. Emerging as a breakout star from the group was Enya, who played keyboards and sang with the unit. She became the best-selling solo act from Ireland. The song Theme from Harry's Game was released in 1982, written for the miniseries Harry's Game, which dealt with the Troubles conflict. That's violence between Northern Ireland and England. The song reached number 5 in the UK and number 2 on the Irish pop charts. The song is haunting, it offers traditional Gaelic lyrics, and offers the light, meditative qualities of New Age music. The lyrics translate roughly to this: "From whence came the moon and the sun? The moon and the sun will go, and the young man with his reputation behind him. I will go wherever he came from, the young man with his reputation behind him." Theme from Harry's Game. River Dance is a stage show that introduced much of the world to Irish music and traditions. It became popularized when a group of dancers and musicians performed between Europop acts on the popular television program, the Eurovision Song Contest program. The production included Irish step dancing and traditional Irish music. Bill Whelan wrote the score, and after finding success on Eurovision, Riverdance became a stage show in 1995. In fact, over 25 million people have seen the show. Riverdance has been performed at Radio City Music Hall, the Apollo Theater, and Broadway. The song Riverdance comes from Bill Whelan. It was released as a single in 1994 and was number 1 on the Irish charts for 18 weeks. The music celebrates the folk tradition of Irish jigs and reels. Okay, let's shift gears here a little bit and talk about some Irish pop or Irish rock sensations, what have you. And we begin with Van Morrison. Van Morrison is a famed Northern Irish singer, harmonica player, and keyboardist, and he also played the saxophone. He began performing as a teen in the 1950s. In the 1960s, Van the Man came to fame as the singer of the Irish R&B band Them. Them scored a hit with the song Gloria, and then Morrison went on his way and released mega hits like Brown Eyed Girl in 1967 as a solo artist. In 1968, he recorded the critically acclaimed album Astral Weeks, great record, and then the 1970s masterpiece, one of my favorite albums of all time, Moondance. Morrison's music throughout the years has incorporated R&B, jazz, and Celtic music. His career has been simply incredible, and he has been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the Songwriters Hall of Fame. He's also been knighted. In 1988, Van Morrison and the Chieftains celebrated their heritage with the album Irish Heartbeat. Chieftains co-founder Paddy Malone said the following about Morrison and the project: "I think Van was searching for his Irish roots then. It was this man of blues, rock and roll, jazz, and more importantly soul, coming home to his Irishness with the Chieftains and the music we'd been playing for so many years. Musically, we were going to meet each other halfway." One song from the album is Star of the County Down, which is a traditional Irish ballad that tells the story of a young man who courts a girl but loses her when she leaves for America. Okay, let's talk about supergroup U2. U2 was formed in 1976 in Dublin by 4 high school bandmates. U2 is Bono on vocals and guitar, The Edge on guitars, keyboard, and backing vocals, Adam Clayton on bass guitar, and Larry Mullins on drums and percussion. The group is known for its unique sound and socially conscious lyrics. Initially, U2 played in a post-punk style. After 4 years, the group signed with Island Records and released their 1980 debut album, Boy. The next album, October, was released in 1981, and both albums did well in Ireland. Their first monster success was the 1983 album War. War reached number 12 in the US and sold 11 million records worldwide. Success continued with the 1984 album The Unforgettable Fire, and things really exploded with their 1987 release, The Joshua Tree. That sold 25 million records and was number 1 worldwide. U2 has remained one of the biggest rock bands ever. Sunday Bloody Sunday comes from the album War in 1983. That's when U2 released it. And the song deals with the January 30th, 1972 Bloody Sunday massacre in Derry, where British troops shot 26 unarmed Northern Irish protesters, leading to the death of 14 people. Those shot were Irish Catholics protesting the August 1971 mass arrests of members of the Irish Republican Army. They were protesting the Unionist British-ruled government. The 4 days of violence led to 342 arrests and the death of 2 IRA soldiers and 2 British soldiers. This was all part of a conflict known as the Troubles, which lasted from the late 1960s till around 1988. The key issue was a territory dispute. The Northern Irish Catholics were not compliant with the British rule of Northern Ireland and their Protestant teachings. Northern Ireland remained part of the UK. Generally speaking, Martin Luther and other Protestant reformers in the 16th century believed that salvation is attained only through the faith in Jesus and his atoning sacrifice on the cross. But at the same time, Catholics were taught that salvation comes through a combination of faith plus good work, the good work you do here on earth. So Protestants rejected the Roman Catholic teachings and the power of their leader, the Pope. So that was part of the fight. Now, as far as the music, the intro is haunting with a military-sounding drum beat and Edge's hypnotic guitar lines. Take notice of the electric violin played by Steve Wickman, who was brought in for the session. Bono's lyrics ask the following: how long must we sing this song? He also mentions broken bottles under children's feet and bodies strewn against a dead-end street. The song reached number 7 on the Billboard charts. Sunday, Bloody Sunday. The Cranberries was a group that was formed in 1989 in Limerick, Ireland, and was fronted by Dolores O'Riordan. The alternative rock act rose to fame with their 1990 album Everybody Else Is Doing It, So Why Can't We? And the Cranberries had scored hits like Dreams, Linger, Zombie, and Salvation. In the early 2000s, the Cranberries took a break, and O'Riordan pursued solo efforts. She returned to the group in 2009, and they released a new studio album and a North American tour. In 2018, O'Riordan was sadly found dead in a hotel room. The cause of death was alcohol intoxication. O'Riordan dealt with bipolar disorder and struggled with success. The band has no plans to replace the iconic vocalist who was known for incorporating yodeling into her singing. Zombie is one of the Cranberries' most iconic songs. It's a protest song released in 1994 that again deals with the Troubles incident. The song was written in response to the death of 3-year-old Jonathan Ball and 20-year-old Tim Parry, who had been killed in the 1993 Warrington bombing in Cheshire, England. The IRA released those bombs. O'Riordan said the following about the song in 2017. There were a lot of bombs going off in London, and I remember this one time a child was killed when a bomb was put in a rubbish bin. That's why there's the line in the song, "A child is slowly taken." We were on a tour bus, and I was near the location where it happened. so it really struck me hard. I was quite young, but I remember being devastated about the incident. Children being pulled into that kind of thing. So I suppose that's why I was saying it's not me. That even though I'm Irish, it wasn't me, I didn't do it. Because being Irish was quite hard, especially in the UK, when there was so much tension. The song particularly offended the terrorists who had claimed to have carried out these acts in the name of Ireland. O'Riordan said this about their criticism. The IRA are not me. I'm not the IRA. The Cranberries are not the IRA. My family are not the IRA. When it says in the song, it's not me, it's not my family, that's what I'm saying. It's not Ireland. It's some idiot living in the past. The Cranberries' former manager stated that Island Records urged them not to release the politically urgent song as a single, and that O'Riordan was offered a check for $1 million, and she ripped it up because she wanted the song to be the single. She wouldn't accept the bribe. And she was right. The single was widely successful, incredibly important, and is one of the most iconic songs of the 1990s. Check it out, Zombie. The Irish artist to have had the most recent impact is Hozier. The singer-songwriter was born in 1990 in the coastal town of Bray. His 2013 hit, Take Me to Church, is easily Hozier's most popular song. Lyrically, Take Me to Church grew out of Hozier's frustration with the Catholic Church. He said the following: "Growing up, I always saw the hypocrisy of the Catholic Church." This is what he told Rolling Stone magazine. "The history speaks for itself, and I grew incredibly frustrated and angry. I essentially just put that into my words." Now, Take Me to Church contains sexual undertones, and Hozier has elaborated on that, and he said the following: "An act of sex is one of the most human things, but an organization like the church, say, through its doctrine, would undermine humanity by successfully teaching shame about sexual orientation." The song is about asserting yourself and reclaiming your humanity through an act of love. Check it out, the very haunting Take Me to Church. All right, let's talk Irish punk and the group The Pogues, P-O-G-U-E-S. The Pogues are one of the earliest Celtic punk bands from London. They truly capture the spirit of Irish folk music. The core of the band met in a bathroom after a Ramones show in 1977. The group began to take shape in 1982, playing at several clubs and pubs, and then recording. In 1987, the band found some mainstream success with the single Fairy Tale in New York. By 1989, frontman Shane MacGowan began missing shows, and vocal duties shifted to Joe Strummer. You might know Joe Strummer from the band The Clash. Then Strummer left and Spider Stacy became the lead singer. The group broke up, they reformed, and that's basically the Pogues. Sally McLennan was a single released by the Pogues in 1985. It was the second single by the band to make the UK Top 100. The song was composed by Shane MacGowan and featured on the band's second album, get a load of this title, Rum, Sodomy, and The Lash. The song is based on a bar MacGowan's uncle owned, which served Irish Ford workers. The song and the album were produced by the legendary Elvis Costello. Take notice of the tin whistle and organs that are played along with the rock instrumentation. Flogging Molly is a 7-piece Celtic punk band formed in Los Angeles in the 1990s, led by Irish vocalist Dave King. Flogging Molly has cited the Dubliners and the Pogues as major influences, and their lyrics often touch on subjects such as Ireland and its history, drinking, poverty, politics, love, and death, and they include several references to the Catholic Church. We're going to check out the song Drunken Lullabies, a high-flying Celtic punk vehicle with lyrics that question, must it take a life for hateful eyes? The song seems to be about how the violence in Ireland has really made no difference. Must it take a life for hateful eyes to glisten once again? Because we find ourselves in the same old mess, singing drunken lullabies. Dropkick Murphys are a band from Quincy, Massachusetts, a Boston suburb with a large Irish population. The group began in 1996 and scored their biggest hit with I'm Shipping Up to Boston. The lyrics come from American folk legend Woody Guthrie. The lyrics describe a sailor who lost his prosthetic leg while climbing the topsail and is shipping to Boston to, quote, find my wooden leg. The song was featured in the film about the Boston Mafia, Departed, and it was also played during President Joe Biden's April 2023 trip to Ireland. He went on stage for a speech to the song. You can't help but get pumped when you hear this one. I'm shipping up to Boston. All right, so there we have it. That's the thing. We did it. We checked out some music from Ireland, and I hope you enjoyed it. Again, we only just scratched the surface. We didn't even get to some artists and bands like the Irish Tenors, the Great Flautist, James Galway, Rory Gallagher, Thin Lizzy. We didn't really get that into the Boomtown Rats, the Corrs, the Script. There's so many others. But I think we got a good understanding of the music of Ireland through this podcast. So I want to thank you for listening, and I hope you keep listening. For more information, go to 30albumsfor30years.com. Let's keep this music alive. Have a wonderful day.